We have to learn to let go and allow life to happen through us without any judgments, without any preconceived notions, just allowing life to be what it is.
We choose between the left and right, the ups and downs, the darkness or the light. We're finding who we are.
There's only one reform in life. When you and I stop living from our heads, you and I are here for one very solid reason, and that is to learn to be loving.
We're finding our way together, just you and me.
Namaste. Are you looking for a new you? It isn't in the mirror, and it isn't in anything you can buy. You might be surprised that the new you is within you. Come aspire with us in India.
Until we finally sing, 'cause when we seek, we find the answers. Life's a dance, and we're all dancers. Aspire, and just believe we can be everything. Aspire.
Allahabad sits at the confluence of three important rivers, the Ganga, the Yamuna, and the invisible Saraswati. This meeting point, the Sangam, is considered to have great soul-cleansing properties. So once a year, a huge bathing festival springs up on the sandy riverbed. The Magh Mela, as it is known, attracts thousands of pilgrims from all over India. Every 12th year, the festival becomes the Kumbh Mela, where well over 1 million people come to bathe in the sacred waters.
We are here at the Magh Mela in India, one of the most holy places in the whole world, where thousands of people come every year to offer themselves and give themselves up, that they might find a new person inside. This is a spiritual process that these people realize. It's built into their culture and deeply into their psychology. There isn't any of us in this world who do not want to have the experience of dropping our old self and wanting to start our life anew. Whether you be a beggar or a king, we always want to drop our old self. Spirituality offers to us the unique presence of shedding our old self, shedding personality traits and egotism, and that's partly what this is all about. These people make a pilgrimage to let go of their rags, to let go of their riches, to let go of their egos, to let go of what it is they believe in, for a sense of renewal in who they are. And the only real renewal any of us ever feel is the renewal from within. You can get facelifts, you can get eye lifts, you can have new jobs, new places to go, more money, but you still remain yourself. Until a person has really delved into themselves and touched who it is and what it is they really are, all the facelifts and all the superficialities that we try to initiate to make changes in our life are absolutely futile. It is natural for us to think that the first place we need to make the change is in our mind or in our appearance or in our attitude, but that's the last place that it really affects us. The deepest change we make is penetrating within ourselves, going deep within who and what we really are, and having the wisdom to recognize who we are when we see ourselves, or, as I like to say, feel ourselves. This is the rebirth that hundreds and hundreds of these people have come to do, to feel a sense of rebirth about themselves and their life. And they make beautiful offerings to God here in this early morning hour to ask that they may be led to the perfect experience within themselves that would bring that change. This takes great personal commitment and deep love. This is the commitment that we as Americans and we as Westerners are often afraid of. It is the commitment to the soul and to the heart of us. You cannot help but feel changed and moved by being here at the Magh Mela, because so many people are so sincere about their effort and what they are doing. This isn't ritual to them. This is not a show. This is their life and their breath, and they put everything that they have into this. It's so different from the West when we put very little into what we do. It's all so superficial, but here the most important thing is to find the core and the truth and the love of oneself.
Educator, philosopher, and expert in Indian mythology, Mr. Chandra Joshi has given many lectures and presentations to American universities and institutions. As president of the Co-Evolution Design Foundation, Mr. Joshi is dedicated to a global exchange of cultures and spiritual values in the interest of growth and transcendence in individuals and communities.
Probably one of the things that Americans want to know is, what is a real guru?
A guru is a person who guides you in terms of life's perspectives. It is not just telling you what to do. It has a bigger context of your own life. And gurus have also to be aware that when they are guiding it in the terms of the whole tradition which is there, and also making the person to see something new, discover on his own. So a guru is a person who is alive. Personally, he is on the journey, discovering, and at the same time spontaneously having dialogues and conversations.
All right, let's look at some gurus we in the West are very familiar with. I'll give you their name. Tell us a little bit about your experience of them as a researcher and a scholar.
Right.
Sai Baba.
Sai Baba, there are two Sai Babas. The old one who died long back, but as you are referring to the present Sai Baba, he is a holy person. We call him as a saint and not a sage. Sai Baba is asking people sort of to do devotion and also do some service, So he is trying to communicate this through doing some spontaneous miracles, But people, sometimes they get distracted by the miracles, but the message is each person lives his own life of compassion, social service, and at the same time doing his own devotion. So,
Okay, how about Krishnamurti?
Krishnamurti has two phases in his life, The first phase was his theosophical phase up to 1926, when he was in Theosophical Society, and the whole message was structured according to the Theosophical language. But in 1926, he got a sort of a great clarity, and then he felt the need for restructuring his message in terms of the modern language. And what I feel, Krishnamurti is a guru, a real guru, what we call Sadguru, who asks us to look within and be a lamp unto oneself.
Okay. How about Rajneesh?
Rajneesh, in some ways, he is also making people aware of what they are, but he is making things more simple And so that what Krishnamurti is saying is made simplified for many, And Rajneesh is using some very good techniques of communication, even some tactics,
Yeah.
And there I find the difference between Krishnamurti and Rajneesh.
Okay, what about Muktananda?
Muktananda, I had witnessed one of his satsang where they did a lot of bhajans, And his discourse was based on relating some parables and stories from our Indian mythology. And basically it was again a sort of devotional type of approach to spiritual life. While Krishnamurti is more of self-knowing, what we call Jnana Marga, means we are understanding, deeply understanding the world and understanding the God. In our Sanskrit we say, understanding oneself is a jiva, understanding oneself, the other, the world is Jagat, and the jiva and the Jagat and the whole Jagdishwar means the God. So these are the basic three terms in spirituality.
Does a Westerner need a guru to get on the path?
Not necessarily. What the Westerner needs is the whole spirituality has two facets, The first part is living one's own life without neurosis, without problems. And for that, I think one need not come to India. There are a lot of psychotherapists and psychologists and counselors. They are doing very good work. People like Progov,
Right.
Carl Rogers, and many others, But when we talk about gurus,
Right.
we are coming out of our own conflict situation, out of our survival complex or morality, and we are trying to vision life in its totality. And for that, I feel we need not use the word guru, but someone who is really experiencing that, So he becomes a sort of a demonstration of that, So I feel some sort of a person is needed.
Okay. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you very much. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
Consecrated in 1986, this temple was built at the confluence of the three holy rivers in memory of Shankaracharya, who founded the Saraswati order of monks. He is credited with reviving Hinduism in the 8th century, after the influence of Islam and Buddhism contended for the spiritual minds of the people.
At the festival, at the Kumbh Mela, there is a definite feel as you look at the people that they're desperately reaching out to find their spiritual self for that, that rebirth experience, the experience of a new self through their spirituality, that transformation. Tell us a little bit about that.
In Kumbh Mela, the main focus is the sacred bath, which is on particular days. They call it as Shahi Snana, the princely baths. Now for me, when all sadhus and people take the bath, it is not only the physical bath, there is along with that the psychological bath. And just as we take a bath, we keep away our clothes and we wash ourselves, we become purified, something like that. The sadhus as well as the people who come, they are also having that feeling of a religious, say, sort of transformation, And this is something each person has to undergo. He has to do it, It is not just observing what sadhus are doing. If the participants and the people who come as devotees also join in that procession, singing the name of God and actually being in rapport with that sense of cosmic space and infinity and all that. The whole mythology becomes throbblingly alive, you know. And then the bath becomes really an event, you know. And personally, in the last Kumbh Mela at Nashik, in the beginning I was an observer, and later on the whole spirit was so contagious that I joined, and I had intense moments of great freedom and transformation.
Did you?
Yes.
What is it about this need for transformation inside of a human being? What is it that makes these people go to such large extents in their life to do this? In the West, we would never see this. Only in the East do we see something like this.
In the East, with maturity, they are doing it as a sort of traditional form of duty and a sort of obligation to religion and all that. But the whole atmosphere becomes so charged with mystery, sense mystery, that they get enveloped, and they are surrounded by an aura, you know. And that is something which happens, just as in art, modern art, we say happenings. So also there is a sort of awakening of a great spirit, and a sort of people feel released for a few moments from their daily life and worries, and they are in the presence of great sadhus, great beings. So Kumbh Mela, what happens is the whole atmosphere, the presence of the persons and the participants, all are in a great sense of harmony, you know. And then something emerges. So
what is that something?
That something is the presence of that otherness, the other world in this world, the sense of great mystery, something which the mind or the intellect is not able to fathom, you know. And I think those moments are so nourishing that people live on that psychologically for years.
For years.
So that is something, I think, which happens, you know. It is a great design, I should say. It is not one man or the sadhus, the total configuration, gestalt.
How does a Westerner get this? How can we relate this to Westerners on our viewing audience? This feeling.
The Westerners, if they are participating in the Kumbh Mela, they have to go beyond the mythological forms and symbolism, and in their own way they have to sense and confront the mystery which is in their life, in their everyday life, and along with the people they should feel a sort of a comradeship and a feeling of compassion. When even Westerners, without knowing the language, the symbol and all that, they are possessed, overtaken by that transcendental joy.
Yeah, that upliftment.
So it is not something consciously one can do it, you know. Because a religion after a certain stage, it is beyond words, it is even beyond any language. So even a Westerner, when he sees that, how other human beings are reacting, how they are living, how they are singing, dancing and enjoying, and the very sight of it will really move the Westerners.
Thank you. Thank you very much. The deepest experience of spirituality is the most frightening. The very reason that we go into our spirituality seems to be the very thing that we protect ourselves against, and that is personal transformation, change. So in the West, we have created heaven and hell. We've created a destination out of our religion, so we know that there's a wonderful place for us to go. But in the reality of spirituality, what we are working with and what this is all about is deep personal change, a transformation. It's about rebirth, death, recycling ourselves, not death just in the body, but the death of our ego, the death of the way we have lived, the death of our personality, that we might find an opportunity to change. We're worried about that change because we're worried that the effect of the change that it will invoke in our life might not be the effect that makes us happy or gives us our friendships, or maybe we're worried that it will take away our security, and none of that is true. Absolutely none of that is true. There's an element of risk in spirituality that one must be willing to take. If one is not willing to take that element of risk, to accept, to embrace, and to let go, then one is never going to know what the other side is like. People think that they can wait to understand the other side of their life by talking about it, reading about it, fantasizing, creating philosophy. We don't need any more philosophies in the West. What we need is deep penetration, personal transformation of the heart in the West now. We can have that. It's about meditation, it's about personal insight, it's about the willingness to change, to drop our old ways. But it's not a behaviorism, because all deep change has to come from within oneself. If the change doesn't come from within oneself, it isn't real change. Then it's maneuvering, it's willpower, but it has nothing at all to do with sincerity. As you look at these people who are reaching deep within themselves to go beyond what it is that they're comfortable with, the things that they are afraid of, really reaching beyond, to touch something that is beyond themselves, you have to admire their courage. Spirituality is that tenacity to stay with oneself, to acknowledge all of the personal selves that we have, some that are beautiful and some that are ugly, some that are just absolutely grotesque to us and some that we are ashamed of, and some that are beautiful. We get to all of them, for in our Father's house are many mansions, and we are many different people. But the thing that is most important about those many different people is that we accept them, we embrace them, and we allow them to be within us and let them go. Sooner or later, we come to the real core of ourselves. Personal transformation doesn't mean that we float on a cloud. It means that we accept ourselves and love who we are. We realize who and what this journey is all about, that it had nothing to do with objects or people, but what it always was about was love and compassion and God. Namaste. There's only one reform in life. When you and I stop living from our heads, you and I are here for one very solid reason, and that is to learn to be loving.